So as this rather interesting year rapidly comes to a close, I thought I would give an update on my 1955 Topps baseball collection. I'm going for the entire set, and last time, a few months ago, I was at about 40 cards, about 20 graded cards and 20 ungraded cards. So I have been adding some ungraded cards and also a few from other grading companies that I may or may not cross over to PSA. So the a decent number of raw ones here. Also, for instance, Bob Grimm. This was graded by GAI, which is not necessarily the best grading company, as a 7.5. I'm hoping to break this one out and see if it'll go as a PSA 7. So that was my hope on that one. And I've got a couple of cards here, well, two here that are SGC graded 8s, well, or 88s on their old scale, Dale Long and Ray Crone. And so the hope here would be that maybe I'll cross these over to PSA 8s. I bought these at prices that were low enough that I still come out ahead even if I pay the grading fees for SGC. That's one of the things about even in vintage cards where SGC was more popular a while back. Still tends to be a price difference between the PSA and SGC cards. Now, so these are a handful of cards here. The most significant ones of this group are a couple of Hall of Famers that I bought raw. So this this Monty Irvin card, I got this raw. Most of these purchases are on eBay. A few are from a couple other sources like Batter's Box and Four Sharp Corners. But this Monty Irvin was in pretty good shape, and I got it for a pretty good price. And so even if this just comes out as a PSA 6, this is still worth it. And it may have a shot at getting a 7, which would be great. And another Hall of Famer that I got a raw card here of is Eddie Matthews. And again, if this goes as a 6, I still got a good deal. If this were to go as a 7, which I'm not sure about because its corners are a little touched and there's a little bit of this excess kind of print marking, this kind of little black spotted marking on there. That may cut it back a little bit. This yellow stripe there, that's on all the cards. That's something, I'm not sure what happened there, but that's on virtually all the Eddie Matthews that I've seen, even ones that are graded, 7s and 8s. So I don't think that's an issue. This is fairly early in Matthews' career. I think this is like his 3rd-year card. And he'd already had a couple of big years for the Braves at that point. And so this is one that that I'll probably try to get graded, and then I can see if it's good enough that that's what I want to be the quote unquote final card in my collection for Matthews, or whether I want to upgrade to something else. Now, I also bought just a few cards here already in PSA slabs. So this is where most of my purchasing has been on 1955 Topps. So right now I'm up at over 80 cards. So I about doubled the number of cards from last time that I did an update. But a higher percentage of these newer ones have been PSA, as I've kind of figured out how I want to do this. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm not going to look at all of these in detail. Look at a few of them here. Now, one thing that I kind of decided. Originally, I'd been going for thinking, probably near mint PSA 7 on most of the cards, and then in some cases for the major stars, a fair bit less. But I've kind of raised my standards just a little bit. And so now, and after looking through things and realizing that there are plenty of commons where you can get cards as high as PSA 8 for tens of dollars. And the differential between 7 and 8 is, in many cases, not a whole lot. I mean, $20 or $30. And so I've been making more of an effort to pick up 7.5s and 8s. Here's an example of a 7.5. And 7.5s, one thing, if you're not very familiar with PSA, the .5s are handled differently with PSA than SGC. The .5 grades for PSA are only a small fraction of cards get the half grades. Those are intended just to note like a 7 that is particularly good, but not quite good enough for an 8. Whereas SGC uses the half grades more commonly. It's a kind of a more regular part of their grading. I mean, and one way to look at that is that PSA doesn't even give a 9.5 grade. They go straight from 9 to 10. So these half grades, typically less than 10% of the cards of a particular grade will be at the half grade. So there's a 7.5, and then got a variety of 8s here. There's a Billy Gardner, Dave Jolly, Bob Turley. He was a pretty good pitcher. And one of the things that, as I've been collecting these, I continue to be very happy with my choice in picking 1955 to go for the whole set, because I really do like the set, even after looking at these a lot over the last 6 months or so. I do like the set. I like the design, and so I'm very happy that this is the one that this is a set that I chose to focus on, at least at first. But a lot of these 8s are, again, we're pretty reasonably priced. There's Jerry Lynch. He's best known probably as being one of the best pinch hitters of all time. And there's a manager card. I don't know, not sure why Mike Higgins got a manager card. It's kind of a sassy looking pose there, him in the right. Now this is one that's definitely not PSA 8. Harry, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Agonis. Unfortunately, this card got pulled because he actually died. And this was very early in his career. He just had his first full year in the majors, and he died during 1955, and so they pulled this card. So this is a little bit of a short print card, so it's more expensive. So that's why I got this in a 6. And then we get into a lot of the higher numbers, and so I think technically the higher numbers are from about 160 and above or so. But I find that the ones you start going above 180 is when they start getting, they kind of consistently are more expensive. And so in a lot of cases there, I'm looking at PSA 7s just because PSA 8 might be a few $100s. And unless there's some reason to spend more, like it's a star card or something, I'm mostly trying to stay around $100-ish or below for a card, if I want to finish the full set in any kind of reasonable amount of time. Tony Jacobs is another example of a high numbered that is a more valuable card. Harry Perkowski. Now this one I think this is one that I may try to upgrade. Let me look at my spreadsheet here at the moment. Yeah, this is one that I only got this. I got this in 6 because I got it with a lot of cards, and this just happened to be part of it. This was kind of the least important one of the lot, so this one will probably get upgraded at some point because the PSA 7s are not very expensive here, and even a PSA 8 is not is not ridiculous. Gil Hodges, very well-known player for the Dodgers. Didn't quite make the Hall of Fame, but his PSA 7 cards typically go for $200 or more, and so I found a reasonably priced 6.5, so I thought I'd go with that. Jackie Jensen, another one of these very high numbers, and PSA 8 on this is pretty expensive, and so I went with a 7. This is a somewhat older enclosure. Notice that it doesn't have the that PSA little hologram label on there, but it still looks like a pretty good card. Again, I've tried when possible to go for centering over, super sharp corners and stuff, but sometimes I mean you kind of have to judge each card on their own merits and decide whether you like the card at that particular price. Ray Moore. So this is, there's no card 209, and then 210 is Duke Snider, and that's an expensive star card. So this is the highest numbered card I have. Another 6.5. That's another card that's, it's actually not ridiculously expensive in PSA 7, but I thought this was a pretty nice looking card. Now, the last card I'm going to show you. So this is the best card I've bought this will be the best card I've bought so far, and that is this Ernie Banks. And so I think this is actually the most expensive card that I own right now. This is a PSA 7. Of course, Banks, Mr. Cub, legendary shortstop for the Cubs, over 500 home runs. The card is a little bit off center, left to right, but the nice thing is that definitely his profile here kind of dominates the card, and so you've got a nice border there. So you don't really notice the kind of the narrow border over here on the other side of the card. It's also the lighter side of the card. These cards all have this nice gradient from a deeper color, like the deeper red to the lighter red that kind of fades out. But this is one that I had seen. This was on a buy it now. Some of these have been auctions, but a lot of these are buy it nows. And this one I had seen for a price that wasn't too bad, and I had contemplated buying it when eBay was having one of their eBay Bucks special offers where you got a 5% rebate instead of 1%. It's kind of like with points on a credit card, certain percent back. So every 3 months you can basically cash in your points on eBay purchases, and so they were doing every once in a while they'd have like a 3-day 5% eBay Bucks special, and so I almost bought it then, but I thought, But then what happened was that I looked at this card again after a while, and it hadn't sold, and the seller had dropped the price by considerably more than I would have gotten back from the eBay Bucks. And so I decided to go ahead and snap it up. I'm pretty happy that I got this, pretty happy with the price I got this. I mean, it's not some super duper bargain price, but a very reasonable price for a card like this, which is a really nice card. And so this is the first Hall of Famer that I have in a PSA 7. I have a Warren Spahn and a 6. And maybe a couple of those raw Hall of Famers, if I get them graded, might come up as a 7. And I mean, I don't want to, completely focus on grades. I mean, I'm looking at the cards very carefully. I've passed up a lot of reasonably priced cards that I just didn't like the looks of at a particular grade. There can be a pretty wide variation, of how one PSA 7, looking how it looks versus another one, based on how far it's off center, or based on the corners, and based on other things. And so, even though it looks like I'm, just kind of only just going for the particular PSA grade, what I'm doing is I'm looking for what I think is a particularly good looking card for a particular grade, which I think is the way to do it. And that becomes particularly important at lower grades because there can be some pretty large variations there. If you've ever looked for, like looked at 52 Manals or, other cards like that, you can have two cards that maybe are graded PSA 3 and one of them will look a lot better than the other one because the problem with one of the cards that dropped it to a 3 is not something that you might care about. Like it might have to do with corners that you don't care about or centering or whatever. So anyway, again, I'm pretty happy that this is what I've decided to work on for vintage, my main vintage project. I've got a couple other vintage projects going, but this is the main one. And so we'll see how I go on this. I have this year I've been able to spend a little more money. I mean, I got back into collecting just at the very beginning of this year, and then of course the COVID hit and all that, and because of the nature of this year, I've actually had more money to spend because I haven't not having to drive to work every day, not being able to go on trips and stuff that I might normally do. So I've had a little bit more disposable income to spend on cards. And hopefully that'll change this year, not because I don't want to spend more money on cards, but hopefully that'll mean that the other things are a lot better. So I hope to, maybe every few months give an update on where I am on this set. I probably, I'm going to be slowing down, not only because of what I just said, but also I have about 40% of the set, and so it's going to be harder to find new cards because now at the beginning, of course, there were 200 plus different cards that I could be looking at, and now it's down to about 115, about 120. And so, and then also I still have a fair number of expensive star cards that I've got to think very carefully about if I want to buy those. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at 1955. It's a really nice set. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.